welcome to the stream. Good to have you here. We're going to be writing a book today. So, this book I'm working on for Bookboon. Bookboon is a publishing platform where companies can subscribe to a Netflix for useful books for the people that work with them. And those books are fairly short, 30 to 50 pages, and they aim to be really useful. And so I was approached by someone from Bookboon asking if I wanted to write a book for them and what it would be on. And I was just thinking of what would be like time wise appropriate right now, and what is something I really have some experience with and could share some thoughts on. And then it was actually the first day of the big Microsoft conference 2 weeks ago, and Satya Nadella was talking about how there's huge growth in jobs for developers outside of tech. And I'm like, hang on. I've been doing that for years, working with tech people and developers outside of the context of a big tech firm. So I would either work for an IT provider or for an outsourcing company, or for a third party consultancy or for the customer directly, and there would be people having to try and create software in an environment that didn't really know how to do that effectively, which imposes some unique challenges and frustrations. So I'm writing a book about that. And of course, I'm not doing that alone. I'm really happy with the trust that the developer, the publisher has placed in me. And I'm really grateful to the people who are helping me proofread the manuscript so that, something of quality comes out at the other end. So, um, the book is called Care and Feeding of Developers. This in no way implies condescension towards software engineers. I'm just good enough at coding to know that I'm not very good at software engineering. So I have huge respect for these professionals and I love working with them. And I wanted to have kind of a tongue-in-cheek, standing out working title for this book. So, considering that it should be about 50 pages, I'm actually already halfway with the manuscript. I just went into a flow of inspiration of writing, and I got a lot of it out there. So if we look at the outline here on the side, my face is a little bit in front of it, but let's see if I can move that around for you guys. There. Okay, so here you can have a better look at the outline of the book. So there's the introduction, acknowledgements, introduction about developers, what non-developers need to know. I decided to devote a special chapter to that. Hiring, huge deal. I mean, talent commands top dollar right now inside big tech. So to get people to work outside of that environment where there's a lot of other developers around and a lot of career advancement opportunity, you're going to have to replace some of the dollars with other reasons to work there. Now, I was hugely inspired by what somebody at the Founder Book Club said just last week. He said, think about why would people want to work with you as volunteers? And then once you've got that sorted and how you would take care of them as your coworkers if they were volunteers actually, then you can start thinking about monetary compensation and stuff like that. And then it rests on a solid foundation of working together because you have the same reasons for being there and working on something, and not just paying top dollar. But yeah, hiring developer talent outside of tech is a challenge. So we're devoting a chapter to that. Then we're going into culture, writing code and communication. Usually company cultures of companies that make things like physical things or that have a strong emphasis on business process have an entirely different tempo of determining, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to do it then getting stuff done to the point where it can be customer facing, and then shipping it or putting a service into production. Writing code is not like that, especially these days. So I introduce some things that aren't just like, here's agile, there you go, have fun, but things around that are just very important when it comes to thinking about starting to develop software at a not software development company, and also about just how to deal with each other and not get stuck in lose the balance between where you're like, no, we have to do things a certain way, and then just following the way and not being able to speak truth to each other anymore, because I've seen that go wrong a lot of times. Then there's a whole chapter on communities, because communities are very important to workers everywhere, especially to knowledge workers, and definitely to software developers, software engineers, who tend to really learn from each other, and by looking at each other's work and exchange ideas and like, okay, how do I do this? A lot of code, a lot of very important code that our world runs on is actually written by communities. I mean, Linux is a very, very famous example, but there's so many libraries and things out there that are maintained by communities and that are across the borders of organizations. So I devote a chapter to that, because I think that's something that really needs to be understood by people who want to work with engineers developing software. Some work and management good practices, a chapter on firing, on letting go of people. This is very hard in general, and it's not fun. And so I wanted to go into that and address it specifically. Some about other jobs that are also important to define at your company if you want to go into doing your own software development, your architects, your scrum masters, everything that is not the software engineering itself, but closely adjacent. Then final thoughts, software eating developers. It's a little bit of a joke, since, we start with software eating the world in the introduction. But there is, a lot of low code and no code going on, which still requires thinking through what are we doing with code, even if it doesn't involve writing code. So it's not obviating software engineers. It might obviate some of the coding. I go into that and into the idea that soon, and to an extent already, we have AIs that can generate amounts of code very rapidly, and the low-code, no-code platforms are in part based on those. So I kind of closed the circle here with software is eating the world, to the extent that it's also changing what it means to be a software engineer or developer. So, and then books to read and people to follow. As I say in the introduction to this little chapter here, it's still a stub, but books, people, and experience are just the pillars of expertise. When you read a book and you attach that knowledge to your kind of tree of knowledge that grows in your head, you have so many more options to tackle problems. But then working together with people to do that, and running experiments, tackling problems, learning from that, then it really becomes knowledge, becomes mastery. So this is a way to close off that adds value in another way to the reader. Then there's a bibliography. I cite a bunch of stuff. So here's the keynote that kind of sparked the idea of, okay, I should write on this. There's some more academic works. There's some like practical manuals that give a lot of insight into how to both write code and run code in production and maintain it and deal with some of the dynamics around that when it comes to your talent. Site reliability engineering is really, really good in that regard. So that's the outline of the book. Now I'm not going to be reading stuff for you today. I'm going to be working on this manuscript live, and maybe we'll see one of the proofreaders dropping in. So I'm using a Google Doc. It's really good for this kind of thing because it has everything you need really in terms of basic text editing. Spelling checker is not entirely on point, but okay. I have tools for doing my citations, which is useful, and I can just very easily share comment links with other people to let them collaborate with me, and that helps to get it out the door relatively quickly. Actually, the contract with BookBoon states I have 3 months to write the first chapter and 6 months to write the entire thing. But yeah, the introduction and first chapter are basically done. So I'm gonna send over that first chapter fairly soon, and then hopefully deliver the entire book in another week or two, and then see how long they take editing it, and then yeah, we'll hope to get it out of the door soon. Let's see, where was I? Yeah, so I added subchapters here, but not here. There we go. This okay, so this kind of layout thing, I hope they can fix in editing, because sometimes I try to get the table on one page, but then I write a bit more, and it all goes loopy again. So. All right, this is going to be an interesting subchapter. Right. I might have to reformulate this, but I think everybody gets the point. Doo-doo-doo. Right. Okay, so I'm gonna move this bit over here. This is where what my buddy at the Founder Book Club said comes up. Maybe I shouldn't overpromise there. Right. See? Okay, so a lot of times I will verbalize things in my head as I'm writing, find out like, whoa, too many verbs, this is getting too prolix. And then even afterwards, during editing, most phrases that feature an and, they're just too long. You don't need them there. Right, let's move this back so you can see all the text. Getting into doing, no, just doing. That's enough. There. So one of the hardest things about writing is put one thing you want to say in one sentence. Every time you use and or dot or comma or whatever, just break it up. Have one thought that you want to build up in the reader's mind in one alinea. The alinea literally means the beginning of a new train of thought. And that's what it should be used for. So a phrase is to say something, and a alinea is to build up complete thought, and then a paragraph is about a subject, like it can be related thoughts. And, a chapter is a theme, like a larger building block in your overall narrative. And getting the structure right from the small bits to the large bits, that's the art of writing. And being too conscious of that tends to freeze me up. So I write and then later start editing, condensing, and chunking it up in better ways. So, but really, if you get into a writing project, be a complete rule monster when editing your own writing about what a phrase is for, what a alinea is for, what a paragraph is for, and so on. It really makes a huge difference in the kind of quality of life of your readers as they're reading your book, and how concise you can be, how effective you are in affecting their mental models. The influence you get to have as a writer on their world is really enhanced by how well you put your thoughts on paper. So look into that, practice it, ask your proofreaders to look for that, and yeah, that helps. See, now this table is mostly on the next page again. Okay. All right, guys. I'm gonna put a brief intermission on. I'm gonna grab a Red Bull because I have some water in my can here, but you know it's time for coffee, but it's too warm, so I'm gonna go with the wings. I'll be right back. Let's see if I can add a little music for you guys while you wait. Let's see, media source. There we go. But all right. Got my drink and I have the invitation for my vaccination. Cool. I haven't been the fastest replicants, but you know. Here we are. We are back. We were working on the no bastards rule. You know, sometimes it's hard to tell whether people are behaving in just pleasant and unpleasant and unworthy ways because there are other issues at play and they don't know how to express it, or whether they're just bad people. But you have a responsibility as a leader to a team, you know, to a number of people who have to be able to work together effectively. And there's at some point your responsibility to manage their issues stops, and your responsibility to the team is paramount, and you just have to say this is enough. If somebody is toxic to the team, you have to let go of them. And make no mistake, people are increasingly aware of this and increasingly unwilling to work for managers who don't fix these kind of things. So, you know, at Apple, there was just a huge scandal, which is very un-Apple-like to, you know, let me fix the webcam frame here. There, that's better. Where people ejected somebody who just had a very bad track record, and they didn't even, you know, wait for him to show if he had bettered his ways. They don't want to waste their time on somebody who's not going to be great for the team chemistry. So if you're a leader who tolerates people on the team who are high performance but low trust, as management frameworks classify these kind of brilliant but unpleasant people, then the team is gonna lose its trust in you as their leader, because they're like, okay, well, you're okay with this. What else are you okay with? You know, I don't want to be here. And as I described earlier in the chapter, if you want software engineers to work for you, but you're not a pure tech company, you really need to give good reasons, because the compensation, the career opportunities, just the exposure to other talent that is so useful to learn from is really good inside tech. So if you want the specialists to come out and play, you better give them good reason, and you better not, poison the well by letting unpleasant people work for you as well. So this stuff matters. Okay. So we added a bit to that chapter. Let's see. Oh, right here I had to do a whole bunch of stuff. Wait, I have a quote about this in the introduction. Yeah. Let's copy that. Go back down to the chapter. hang on. I remember this book. And there's some quotes in there that would be very useful here. So, it was Ricardo Semler. Okay, so let's add a citation. Book accessed by Evident Print somewhere. Semler. I think it's called Semco Style. So this is an incomplete citation. I will complete it later, but just to make sure I park that thought. Link. So as you can see here and there, I use square brackets as a kind of flag for myself to do work later without interrupting the flow, insofar there is a flow of what I'm doing right now. All right, let's see. Should I name the company? You know what? I'll check with them if they're okay with that. I'll check with the company reps if they're okay with that. I have enough jobs in my CV that it's not immediately obvious. Maybe I should make a chapter out of this. What do you guys think? Maybe this needs to be a whole separate chapter. Because actually I think software development is one of the sectors that's really... They're not going back, you know? We're not going back. I don't think so. Well, just replying to a friend of mine who's going to pick me up when we are going to a shared event tonight. He already had the shots. Lucky man. So things are starting to reopen here. That's nice. But I don't think that tech is ever going to go back to the measure of being in close physical proximity that we used to have. Although I gotta say, it is effective. A team of people who are sitting very close together can reach a level of collaborative efficiency that cannot be reached by remote teams. There's too much nonverbal stuff going on in our monkey brains that if you get a high trust, high performing team in close proximity, their performance is really on another level. So, but you know, you can't have it all. There's pros and cons, and there's so much pressure on this labor market. There's such a scarcity of talent that if people don't want to, you know, come to the office, they're not going to come to the office, and you're not going to make them. So I think this might need to become a separate chapter. Gonna upgrade it. Wonder what the editor's gonna say, because then I can make this initial bit also the personal bit. Like every chapter, I start with a bit of a like cursively written, more personal story, and then I get into the kind of the meat of the chapter itself. Okay, so if we make an outline for this, what's it going to look like? It's about okay. Um, Alright, so this is a bit of a stub, but this can be expanded into a little chapter of its own. Let's see, communities, and we're gonna put some work into this one. Okay, well, no, this is a bad comparison, not billboards, but let's say like maybe Super Bowl ads. Right, so that chapter is a little bit expanded. Oh, this is so important. Digitally literate leadership. Mhm. Um, mhm. Mhm. Using a lot of effective here. I guess that's because we've seen so much ineffective in this regard. Oh my goodness. So this report actually was quite interesting. It came out recently. MRUP. Yeah, this one. It was written in part by Eric Beulen, a professor here in the Netherlands at the TS Nimbus School for Management. Digitization on boards. This is really, I think, one of the biggest long-term differences companies can make is to really install digitally literate leadership and oversight, and just have people at the top who get it and get the difference between, technologies that develop linearly and exponentially, and what kind of things the company needs to be aware of in its stakeholders and in its surroundings, and what kind of tempo and capabilities are required to keep up, what the dynamics are of digital products and services. Because if these things are not well understood, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter what you do in hiring developers, but it definitely can make the difference between fully enabling everyone or actually hobbling the whole company to the point where it's not going to fly. So digitally literate leadership is just absolutely crucial, and definitely an area that requires more growth and attention. So if you're into this, if you're thinking about buying this book, also get and read that paper and the associated literature, because it's very necessary. Maybe I should do another book on that, but I feel a little bit it's more up to the professors in management science to write the books that target that dynamic. I'll stick to what I know and what I have personal experience with doing, not just with undergoing. All right, what time is it? Oh, it's 12:54. We're going to round off in about 5 minutes. Let's see. Word count, where are we? Oh, okay, that's nice. We've added some mileage there. This whole chapter is going to be an interesting live stream as well. I noticed also when we had a discussion in the Founder Book Club around firing that it's really something that resonates with founders, with entrepreneurs, with managers. It's a very hard topic, and there are some ins and outs about doing that with software engineers that is important. Let's see where we're going here. No, wait, I'm going to call this differently. scaled site. Okay. That's the introduction right there. All right, this was the quote on hyper intelligent machines. Who was it? JD. It's somebody who worked close together with Turing. The point is that you can define a very intelligent machine as a machine that is much better than any human, however clever, at performing these complex thoughts that require reasoning about the information, and that then one of these tasks that this very intelligent machine would be good at and better than a however clever person is the design of intelligent machines. So then you get this intelligence explosion. Personally, I think one of the strange and unsolved problems there is motivation. People want to, do things and be cool and be better. Motivation and machine intelligence are a bit of an area where I have a lot of thinking to do and a lot of reading to do. But anyway, not getting into that too much. The whole thing is, this whole quote is a great way to introduce this chapter. So we were going to go with low code and no code AI. You think it the possible paradigm shifts? Okay. Forward. Okay, so this is the introduction. All right. I think we have done a good, pushing the flywheel forwards a little bit. I'm gonna be working on this more, depending on time of day and other things. I'll do it in a live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please like, subscribe, share this stuff. Content creation is all good fun. It's not my my primary revenue model. Nevertheless, it is very important to me that this does well, that it grows, that it provides other opportunities down the line. So far, actually, getting asked to write a book is a good example of that. It helps me if you like this, comment on this, share it. It provides input for my thinking going forward for what I do and how I do it. So if you found value here, please pay it forward in that way. Thank you very much. I'm gonna start ending this stream. The recording will remain on YouTube, of course. And then hopefully be able to do another one either later this week or next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.